Well, I don't know whether my mother would be alive today if Hajir wasn't her nurse.
Full-time parent, full-time nurse, and just phenomenal. She's strong. That's what I can say. She's strong, very strong.
She is truly a phenomenal woman. She definitely goes above and beyond just of being a mom.
And we've been through a lot, but we're still standing.
What makes strong character? What gives an individual the strength to fight through and persevere through storms? Overcome it all and don't allow the environment to change them for the negative. Strength. What is it? Where does it come from? How do we weigh it? See, Merriam-Webster defines it as the quality or state of being strong, capacity for exertion or endurance.
Achievement. How do we truly measure this in someone? How can it be grasped? Merriam-Webster defines achievement as the act of achieving a result of gained effort, a great or heroic deed, the quality and quantity of a person's work.
What do we say about these two words? I know there is no achievement without strength.
And there is no strength without planting your feet on the solid ground and saying, I will not stand for the torture, I will not stand for the oppression.
Many women across history have said these two phrases.
And many have achieved great things. This story is dear to our hearts.
For it is our mother who is the centerpiece of the story.
A woman who you probably don't know, for she is no movie star,
Nor singer.
but she is a great example of turning tears into joy and triumph. We are telling you this story to show you that you have the strength in you to achieve great things and to affect people's lives in a positive and lasting way.
This is her story.
And it may be yours too. Strength and achievement through tears.
A woman's song of hope.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Can you let everyone out there know who you are?
Okay, my name is Hajer El Sheikh, and I'm a nurse.
Okay. So, Hajir, tell me a little bit about yourself. Let's start with where are you originally from?
Okay, I'm originally from Sudan. I grew up in Sudan, and if you want to talk about that, you need more than this time to cover it. My first major was electrical engineering. I finished that, and I moved here.
Okay.
Changed my career after that.
In what capacity do you know Hajir?
I know Hajir initially from as a professional, and now as friends.
Me and Hajir met at a facility that's known as and that particular located in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, and hospital. And I joined the respiratory therapy team there not too long before I met her.
When I started working, my first job as a nurse, I worked at, and that's where I met Hajier.
She was a nurse that took care of my mother when she was in the long-term acute care center. My mother had been admitted to the hospital for routine surgery, and she was in intensive care for a month after that because she had many complications. When she was finally released from intensive care hospital, she was moved to the long-term acute care center, and that's where we met Hajier.
I have known her since 2001 through mutual friends, and that's how we became friends till now.
I know Hajier for over 20 years now. So any capacity you can imagine, I know her. We've been friends for forever.
Through a mutual friend, back in 2001 when I first came to the US. And then we've been really, really close the past 4 years.
Hajier is a very close friend of mine. I was her daughter's preschool teacher when she was 2 years old, and from developing a relationship with her through her daughters, I developed a close relationship with her.
To me, Hajier, because of her triumph over her situations in life, is a unique woman. My next question is, would you agree that she's unique? And if so, in what sense is she unique to you?
She is very unique. She have come over a lot of obstacles in her life with a big smile in her face. She never once stopped, complain and stopped. She always keep moving. She's always going forward. Even with too many obstacles, she still keeps going.
She's very unique. Hajier is so easygoing, and she welcomed me. She helped me out as a new nurse. Even when she had things going on in her life, she always smiled. She didn't let things that were going on at home interfere with work. You know, you could be having a rough day and she would just make you laugh or say a joke. And I remember when I was working with her, she always was singing and always happy.
But there was one point where I think we were the only two in the break room. And, you know, I'm a very friendly person, so I spoke to her and said hello, and we got to talking. And so after that, there was some point during my shift where, she kept asking me if I got lunch. And I said no, because I wasn't used to getting lunch, because as a new respiratory therapist, I was trying to keep up, and I wasn't used to getting too many breaks. So I didn't want to get behind in my work, so I wasn't eating lunch certain days. And she picked up on this right away. And she kept asking me, are you going to get lunch? I'm like, yeah, I'll try to get a bite here and there. And then she was really concerned. And I'm like, I don't know this woman. But she seems very concerned that I'm not eating. So really, she kind of cornered me, and she said, look, you need to eat. You need to eat. And you know how she is, right? And I didn't eat that day. But the next time that I worked with her, I don't know if I actually ate that time either. Because I kept working, and then she really got upset. Like she was my mom or something, And she really made it clear to me, look, and we had, gotten to know each other and a little more after we've worked so many shifts together, and dealt with patients together. But just in passing, she would always check up on me. Did you eat? You're going to eat today. Look, you're eating lunch. So she actually did get me to say, okay, I'll just go ahead and I'll take some time, and I did eat. And ever since then, I actually did try to make a better attempt to eat. That was my first experience with Hajier. So after that, it was just, when you're working in an environment where you have to depend on the nurse, you have to depend on, the therapists that are working with you in order to try to keep people stable, keep people comfortable. Code situations come up often in an environment like that. So, there are going to be people that work together and staff that don't get along, and there's going to be people that work together that are pretty tight. Me and Hajier did, we did fall into that category of two coworkers who really got a chance to know each other, our work ethic, and I was really attracted to the way she handled the floor and her patients when she was there, because I saw a lot of my work ethic in her. I don't like to say but I mean, when you come onto a floor as a clinician, the first thing you do is you say, who am I working with? The people that are out there that are nurses and therapists know what I'm talking about. So Hajir was one of the people that I know when I saw her in the beginning of the shift, and when other people saw her, they knew it was going to be a good day. So from there, I made sure that I was on her good side, because I wanted to make sure that I had somebody that I could work well with, and I got to know her, and we became friends.
Overcome a lot of situations, and in some ways you would never know it. She doesn't focus on that. She focuses on being positive and being optimistic and being in the here and now and looking to the future.
She is unique in so many ways. She goes above and beyond what she needs to do, just not as an individual, but also as a mother. She puts her daughters before anyone. She loves her daughters unconditionally. She will do whatever it takes to provide for them and give them the best education, the best home life, the best environment. She is a hard worker. She does whatever she needs to do, just not for herself, but also for others.
Yes, I believe she's unique. The way she carry herself, the way she do stuff in her life, even though she have a lot of obstacle, she go through too much. She still keep her smile on her face. She kept going. She's a go-getter. So she is a very unique person.
Hard-headed, well, in a good way. But she's a leader. I mean, I know her since we were in college in 1994, back in Sudan, and she always a leader. She always try new things. She always she don't have that fear. Most of us when we're young haven't, but she just have a lot of courage in herself.
We had many, many nurses in the progression of my mother in the hospital. No one was as caring and professional as Hajir. She thought of the patient as her family, not as a patient. She took special care of my mother and my family.
Now, as far as her, overcoming things in her life, I knew eventually that she was a single mother. Coming from a background myself where I grew up in a single parent home, and I know what it's like to kind of struggle through that, and everybody around me kind of was in the same situation. When you meet people that you feel have a similar background in that regard, you kind of already have an understanding that maybe they've overcome some things. But I've known her for a few years now, and when I heard about this documentary, and I started kind of reading into what it was all about, and a patient having interest and so on and so forth, and her work ethic and care. I knew about her work ethic, but I just wasn't sure the depth of her obstacles that she's overcome. That's nothing that she came out and said, hey, guess what? This is what I've been through. We had a really, just genuine, friendship. She knew a little about me. I know a little about her. But she's not that type of person, I guess, to come out, because I still really don't know what she's been through, obviously. It must be a big deal because we're sitting here and people actually want to put her in a film. So I'm kind of curious, and maybe when she wants to, if she ever wants to, she'll share more about this with me. But apparently she's done some things. She's done some major things and overcome. Just from the title of this production, to me it seems like it's a big deal. And it's nothing that she came out and said, hey, this is what I've been through and I made it. If you know her, she's there and you speak and she's happy and she's helpful, but she doesn't get into herself too much when she brings things up. There are some people out there that say, hey, this is what I've been through and I made it, she's not that type of person. So I still don't know. So I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Hajira serves as a nurse. How would you describe her as a nurse or a woman in general, in the capacity that you know her? Would you say that she's different in the way she carries herself in her profession than other nurses you know or work with? And if so, in what ways?
She treats the patient as a person, not as a patient. She was particularly helpful to my whole family. I remember one day in particular, there was a very difficult patient across the hall, and she was so kind to him. All the other nurses would just blow him off, and she would say, well, he's a person too, and I really need to take care of him. She's a wonderful nurse, and more than that, a wonderful person.
Hajir is unique as far as, everybody brings a different quality as a nurse. With Hajir, I just feel like it flows. It comes natural to her. I don't feel like she's any different of a person in the work field that she is at home. The way she is with her patients is the way that she would be with anybody. And that's what I think makes her a great nurse, is that she doesn't treat anybody different. She treats her patients as she would her family or her friends. She's so kind, and so caring, compassionate to her patients. She'll go in there if they're upset, she'll joke around or she'll laugh, or, there's plenty of times when she goes in there and she's singing, and, she's just very caring. And, the patients that I've seen her with, they all love her.
Hajir was very professional, and I know as a single mom, she had lots of challenges, but never brings those to the work. My mother was got her total attention, and more than she needed. She even requested to be my mother's nurse because she knew that we as a family needed her more than the other nurses. She treated my mother as her mother, and we knew when Hajir was on duty that she would get the care that she needed. My family and I were there almost every day throughout my mother's hospital stay, which was about 2 months long. And we knew if Hajir was on duty, we didn't have to be so diligent. There were times during my mother's care that we didn't necessarily agree with what the doctor was doing, and Hajir would go and speak to the doctor about that. And even if Hajir didn't agree with the doctor, she was able to express her views to the doctor, which could have been at a risk for Hajir with her own job. She was just exceptional.
She is almost like an angel. She just has this presence about her that's so calming and kind. And when I first met her and first walked into the room, she just had this presence that puts you at ease, and she's definitely different than a lot of nurses.
Violence. It comes in many forms: domestic, spousal, even the abuse from those who are supposed to protect you, your government, law enforcement, officers.
You are aware, if you hear the news and you know what's going on in Sudan, the government there has been governing Sudan since 1989, and they made it hard for everyone. To say it's simple, they just made it hard for everyone to live there in peace, and especially for women. It's way harder than men. During college and even before that, from high school, I was active politically, and I was a spokesperson for one of the Democratic force in Sudan.
Okay.
We got detained a lot.
And detained, what do you mean by detained?
Detained. Basically, even when we speak to the student, like in a college environment, you speak to educate the student about what's going on in Sudan, the war, and how to fight and get rid of the current government.
Mm-hmm.
And just by doing that in a peaceful protest, you get flashed, you get thrown in jail. And by detained, I mean we spend days or sometime months in what you call it security place. They have it there, and they kept most of the students or any people that protest against the government, and they can keep you as long as they want or as short as they might like.
So basically, you were just trying to help people to make change, and by doing that, you were punished for that.
Well, me and others, we were trying to get rid of this current government, or just basically educate people on their rights and what you get as getting hurt. That's basically what's going on there in Sudan. In college, I was detained more than one time. I was injured. Maybe you can see it in my forehead. They don't like really stop at nothing in hurting other people. They made it hard for a lot of young graduate to live, moreover to find a job or have a life. So I decided to move, and we flew to Egypt, and we stayed there. We applied for refugee status, and then we got granted the status, and then I came over here. I finished my college in Sudan, but it wasn't an easy process. There is a lot of tears, and there is a lot of running, and there is a lot of punishment that we got for just speaking our minds.
Okay.
Trying to make change.
Can you give us an example of one of the hardest times that you had over there speaking up against the government and speaking like basically what we have here, freedom of speech? Can you give us an example of something that actually happened to you?
There is more than one example, like I said, but what I remember in high school, we went in a peaceful protest, and we got caught by their security personnel, or what they call it over there. I got thrown into a back of a pickup truck, and then they took us to they have their place that is like no one can find it, basically. It's just in nowhere, basically. And they put us there. Since that wasn't the first time, the guy told everyone there that just don't even ask them what they're doing. Just start hitting. And they have lashes. They start lashing us from 8 o'clock until the next morning, basically. We were just standing. You stand there, and they keep hitting you until you bled. I bled. I was bleeding, basically, the back. There is no area beside my stomach that you can see. I stayed in bed after that for a whole month. When they finished, they took us in the back of that pickup truck and just basically throw us in our area, just like you're nothing. You're not a human. And that's one of many.
So basically, you were a child when this was happening to you.
Yeah, high school. I can say in my second year in high school.
So because of the government and the stuff, how they put you in secluded areas where no one could find you, it was hard for your family to come out and try to help you, or basically try to save you.
They can't. No one can. And like I said, this is not just about me. I'm one of millions, and I survived. I moved, have a different life, and I'm not in danger anymore. But to shed the light, there's many others that are still there, suffering from more than this. It's now they're being there for 25 years, so even their mechanism is different, and the way they punish people is way more harsher when they start, because that was just when they took over. So we were like lab rats for them to learn how to torture. And like I said, that's one of many times that I can recall. After that, I got I was banned from going to school that year, so I had to stay home and study to take my final exam to college. And luckily, I have a big, huge supporting family. My father, he passed away in 2008, but he was the biggest support and help. And he went and told the school principal that doesn't matter what you do, she's going to succeed and she's going to get good result. And that was my clue to stay home and study and go take that test and ace it.
So if not for your strength of your family background, do you think you could have survived that?
Definitely not. And it's not just my family. Like I said, I have, my family are different than the others. Have a very supporting father who provide everything for us. And from day one, from when I was in my kid's age, he told us there is no difference between you as a female and between your brother. Whatever they can do, you can. And don't let anyone make you feel you can't do a thing. And that's how I lived my life from that time on.
You said you went to Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
and then you came to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Around what time did you come to the United States?
In 2000.
In 2000. What made you decide to want to come over here to the United States?
Well, at that time, you have to just think fast. When, like I said, when we finished college, they shed my blood at one time. They put it out there that anyone can find me and other student from that college. They can kill us and they will be rewarded because, we're against the government. And that's just one of the things. So at that time, you just have to think where you can go. And the United Nations at that time was offering, they will listen to your story and then they will grant you a refugee status or they will deny it. Since most of the things that happened to me, they were maybe published in papers or someone knowed about it, it was easy to get that refugee status to come here. And the decision is just to find a new place to start.
Mm-hmm.
And young, you just want to try to save yourself, basically. As hard as it is, you know that this is not the best decision because you are leaving your family behind you, you're leaving your friends, and you're leaving a very bad situation that you were a part of that change. And you just have to make the decision that either yourself or stay there and maybe get killed. And many friends, we've seen a lot of them that got shot and died. And it's not easy to make the decision that you choose your own happiness in life. But we made it and we're here.
She's positive. She's always has a smile on her face even when she's down. And when she's down, she tries not to let it show. She's strong, she's tremendous, she's phenomenal. She's always a good positive energy, a good flow to be around. She doesn't have negative energy. And being around that will pick someone else up with her positive energy.
So I know you have two daughters. How much later did your second daughter come into the picture?
6 years.
6 years?
Yep, 6 years after. There's 6 years gap between both of them.
Okay. So were you married at the time?
I was married, yeah. When we moved here, we moved together. I was married. And I divorced basically when she was 2, the little one.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your marriage. How was it?
Well, when we moved here, of course, you're trying to have a different life and you're trying to create a life for yourself and your kids. My last came in the picture. It wasn't always an easy road. We got married back there and we both worked. Mm-hmm. It wasn't perfect. like most marriages. But then after a while, it got to be really hard to continue in a relationship. You know, when you lose respect and when you lose, basically, violence gets in the middle. We skip from that, so I'm not going to have it in my house.
Now, you say violence. What type of violence?
Verbal, mental, and physical.
Can you give us an example?
This is a tough subject, and especially when I have those two, and you know, it's hard to talk about it, basically. But from the background where I come from, most people don't even speak about things like that, and some people look at it and view it as normal, which I will never accept this for myself or for my kids. But the violence, it start when this one was young, the little one, before that, and then it continues, and then reach a point that Malaz was involved. She got to see some things, and for me to be a person who speaks and tell people not to accept this for themselves, for me to stay in this kind of relationship, it was hypocrisy. And did I really want my kids to grow up in this environment? And I had to make the decision. Divorce is not accepted, definitely, in my culture. And divorce is not something that accepted in any families from where I came from. It wasn't easy to convince them. And normally when the word divorce comes like, what happened, whose fault? Everything, it takes two. But when it comes to your respect to yourself and the value that you believe in, and when it comes to feeling physically and emotionally violated, I always tell the females or my friends or co-workers that there is no reason for you to accept a position like that. There is no reason for you to be there. I was always the strong person, so I thought it would never happen to me. And that's the myth, what everybody believes. And sometimes you look at it and you say, okay, maybe I can help. Maybe I can stay in it to make change, or to try to help the other person, or try to avoid breaking a family or anything. You find excuses, and back in your head you say, that's not something will happen to me, because you know yourself, you survive more than simple things. So how can you accept being in this kind of relationship that doesn't mean anything to you anymore? And like I said, once you lose the respect, and once it gets to the point that this person violate the other one, it's time to leave. It's time to get out. And my clue, when it got involved bleeding and choking and
Is that right?
yeah. So it was a clue for me that, okay, this is the time. I need to stop and I need to evaluate what I believe in and what I wanted to do. And for someone who came from a harsh environment, like I said, and I was always out there up front fighting for women's rights, fighting for people, the people back in Sudan, or my people right there, for me to come here and accept that I'm in a different place, trying to make change and accept that in my own home, it wasn't an easy thing to go through.
So can you sum up for us your overall feeling of leaving one violent situation and then being a part of another one? How did it make you feel internally? Can you sum that up for us?
When you sit down or lay down at night and think about everything that other women went through. I can just sum it in a different way, different angle, if you allow me. I had a job here when that happened. I was the one working basically, and it wasn't, I didn't have an issue like to survive outside. For me to lay down and think that there is other women that had to deal with this situation, and me working in this field, the health career, I had to talk to the other women and hear their part of the story, and to see that how hard it is for me to get out of this, and just try to compare it to someone who doesn't have the support, family support or friend support, or even you believing in yourself. Because I've been through a lot during my childhood, my life, and I survived it. And once you survive the first time, you know that you can. And it is in you. You have that fight in you.
You would never know this courageous woman's story by judging a book by its cover. Her joyful smile and spirit lights up a room. Her caring and nurturing heart helps to bring forth positivity and joy in the lives of her children and all of those she encounters.
Okay, we came from different culture to this country, and to be able to assimilate to this culture is not that easy. To different language is not that easy, and to move to be ahead is not that easy. So with all the problems that we encounter, cultural, language, and even financial, because when we came here, we had nothing. We're not rich now, but we are in good situation. And Hajir made that. Hajir, I mean, she went through all these hurdles, and she became a good example, even for Americans. I mean, she's a good example. Yes.
There were times during my mother's care that we didn't necessarily agree with what the doctor was doing, and Hajir would go and speak to the doctor about that. And even if Hajir didn't agree with the doctor, she was able to express her views to the doctor, which could have been at a risk for Hajir with her own job. She was just exceptional.
What do you feel makes Hajir an inspirational woman?
Well, I don't know a lot about her life. She didn't really have a lot of time to tell me, but I know that she has a large family, very, very close to her parents, and they were very important to her, and she knew how important my parent was to me. And I thought that was a great inspiration when she would tell me stories of her father when he was ill and the things that she did for him, and how important it is for her to keep the family involved and do the best that you can for an elderly patient.
Has Hajir made a difference in your life, and do you feel that she's making a difference in her environment? If yes, in what ways has she impacted your life and her environment?
I was a single mom when I met her, and she showed me really that she doesn't need a male figure in her life, like a partner or a husband. She does everything. She's the mom, she's the dad, she's the provider. She does everything. I mean, she's a superwoman to me. She's a superhero. So she makes me, even like, I was so lazy going back to school. Every time she see me, she encouraged me, like, just go to school, and she makes me feel like it's okay. Like, all this obstacle you got is not easy, but you'll get there. whatever you want, you'll get there and you'll get it. So that's what I really like about her, and I just can't stop. I really admire your mom. I really admire your mom. She's. I'm sorry. Hajar is the. I'm just out of word. I'm sorry. She's a strong woman. Trust me. She's a very strong woman. I never see someone that. Even though when she got hurt her back the other day, I couldn't believe she would drive you guys all the way to Philly. And she does what you like. You know she like this. You know she like acting and doing all this stuff. She does whatever makes you happy. You guys are first on her list, and this is to me that's a magical woman to me. Seriously, she's wonderful.
She's an inspirational woman because a lot of women struggle with having to raise a family and then to do it on her own. She fights tooth and nail every single day for you two. Whether it's personal issues or trying to get you guys to do an activity, she does whatever she needs to do for you two. And to see you guys grow up, I'm gonna cry. To watch you two grow up with her and to be able to share that with you guys has been amazing. Your mom does whatever she needs to do for you two. Oh man. She is truly a phenomenal woman. She definitely goes above and beyond just of being a mom. She's your mom, she's your best friend, she's your guardian, she's the person you need to talk to at the end of the day, whatever the case is. She's amazing. She's definitely more than inspirational. She's inspiring.
She brings a lot to the table with caring for her patients, I guess, and their actions can really speak for that you know, when they want someone to take care of them, they want her to take care of them. She does go above and beyond. She doesn't just do her job. She tries to put people at ease, and you know, they're sick, and she tries to make them comfortable and more like family than a nurse.
She did make a difference a lot in my life because I've seen her as a very strong woman, and you know, just to take care of you guys, and you have become, you know, very brilliant. You guys are, even you in school, you always get, you know, the honor student, and all this to me, it's I look up to her, you know, and as a single mom, it's very hard for her to keep up, but she still does it. So
it's always a good day when she's there.
Well, I don't know whether my mother would be alive today if Hajir wasn't her nurse, because she was so diligent in the care that she gave her. And hopefully she's impacting her environment by making an example of herself to some of the younger nurses that are there and the other nurses that treat the patient as a patient, not as a person.
I would like to say a few words about a special lady and a magnificent nurse that I had a pleasure to know during my service at the hospital. The first time I got to meet her was when my service was requested on the floor. A man was dying and they asked us to come up and say a prayer. The man had no family besides him at the time. He was answering God's call. I opened his room assuming he'd be alone, but it was a surprise to me to hear an angelic voice singing softly, Amazing Grace. When I entered the room, there was a young lady holding his right hand with her left hand and her right hand on his head. I looked. She had tears in her eyes. I entered quietly and stood there for a minute. Then she wiped her tears and greeted me. She told me his name and that he was ready. I talked to the man and said my prayers as she stood there holding his hand until he took his last breath. I thought at the moment, he did not die alone. That incident happened in 2012, and I still see it every time I say a prayer to someone dying. I wonder about her and told the unit manager, and immediately I found out how great and kind she is from the manager. This was the first time I met her, and after that, we ran into each other many times in similar situations. I got to know her well, and every time, she exceeds my expectation. We're a refreshing young woman with a heart of gold that does an amazing job with her patients. She treated them as family members and was there when they needed her most. I am proud of her, and I know she's an angel sent from above. God bless her and you all.
All over the radar, there's every type of nurse you can imagine. Hajir is the type that she's very professional, she's very upbeat, she's very appropriate, and at the same time bringing happiness, excitement, actually to the floor. Other nurses, I would say, are more reserved. They're in there to get the job done. They just go in, they get their meds done, they get their charting done, their assessment done. Hajir goes, spends her extra time with the patients and, make sure they are okay, make sure they're happy. And if they're not happy, she does whatever it takes to make them happy. And that's pretty hard given the type of hospital that we were at. Speaking of her children, she drives how many miles to New York City just for an audition for a commercial that the children wanted to be in. She wants to see them successful, and with her, a mother like that, I really don't see any other way for them to be, and it shows through. So I am just wanting to also tell her that nothing makes me more happy to see you achieve something like this, and I'm just so proud of you, and I love you, and I will see you soon, and congrats.
Do I need to say why? Yes, I agree. it's Hajir is human, pure human. That's all I can say, and it's always determined. She is always determined to do what's right and what's right for people. So, yes, I agree, definitely.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say to my mom?
I love her, and she's amazing, and I thank her for letting me be a part of not only her life, but also your life and your little sister's life. And I love you both.
She'd also go the extra mile for me, as I would for her.
Oh, I love her. I love her to death, and she's my dearest friend, over 20 years, and wow, she's my friend. That's what I say.
Thank you so much for being there for us, and be caring, and that's all.
From her soothing voice and her soothing tone to just putting the good out there. She makes me want to be a better person.
I would like to say thank you very much, Hajir, for taking such a personal interest in my mother. As I said, I don't think she'd be alive today if it wasn't for your care. Thanks so much.
You know, she's a great friend and definitely someone that everybody loves.
I know there's days when your mom will come into work and she's been through some things. And she still takes good care of her patients to the extent where you would never tell. You'd never be able to tell. You know, she doesn't let the environment dictate to her how good of a day she's going to have, you know, and doesn't pull her off of her positive pedestal. She's a positive woman. No matter what she goes through, she is a positive woman. You know, there's a song by a reggae artist named Chronix, right? He sings a song, you know, they see me smile, but they don't know what I feel inside. So I think that song would be a good testament to certain people out there that I've had the pleasure of knowing, that I know they go through rough times and they go through rough things, but guess what? You would never know because they're smiling through it all. You know, they're treating everybody as if their day is wonderful, and you don't know what's behind that smile.
I love you, and I respect you. I admire you. You're a very strong woman. You taught me so much, and I hope all your dreams comes true. That's it.
Thank you for
God
your
bless
time.
you. I'm sorry.
How are you doing, girls?
Good.
Good.
Can you let us know your names?
Laz.
Reraz.
And who is your mother?
Hajir.
Hajir. You could tell me a little bit about your mom from your point of view. So tell me about your mother.
Well, she's really sweet and kind, and she's strict, but we know that she does it for the best. And she always pushes us so we can get the best of what we have, and she always works overtime, and she works really hard so we get like the best of what we can get. And like, even though sometimes it's hard, she always like has a smile, and she always tries to cheer us up. And when I was little and she was still working on to be a nurse, she had to go to night school, but then in the day, since my dad didn't really help, she would have to also work. So she worked in a daycare, and then she would just go straight to school. It was really hard for her because she didn't get a lot of sleep, and I was just a little girl. And then I also helped her raise my sister. Like whenever she was working or doing online school or something, I would like distract my sister. I would like put her to sleep and everything. And she's really hard worker and really nice.
So tell me about some of the fun things that you two and your mom do at home.
Sometimes like we play cards and we play games like that, and we would play on the Wii like Zumba and Wii Sports and games like that.
What is your favorite thing to do with your mother?
Play card games with her.
What's your favorite card game?
14.
14th? Wow, that's a cool game. So tell me something in your life that your mom did for you that made you just so happy and joyful on the inside.
Well, whenever she first of all, when she gave birth to my sister, because like she's little, she's really fun to play with and to joke around.
Okay. What do you want the world to know about your mom?
Like how hard of a worker she is, and she's really inspirational to a lot of people because like she never gives up on anything. And she started in Egypt before I was born. They were living off of like basically poverty, and then she came to America and she started a new life, and this is where we are now.
Okay. Well, knowing your mom's background, how does that affect your life?
Well, we're not like the basic family with all the designer clothes and everything. Well, we got what we got, and my mom always tries to make the best of everything.
Okay. And how does that mold you as a person?
Well, she taught me how to be responsible, and she taught me never to give up and to keep trying, and that I could do. One of her favorite quotes is that you could do anything you want to if you put your mind to it.
That's a great quote. What do you want to say to your mom?
Oh, I just want to say thank you for everything that she's done for us.
How about you? What would you like to say?
This.
If you had one word or one phrase to describe your mother, what would it be? Let's start with you.
My mother is amazing.
My mother is irreplaceable.
She has raised two beautiful children.
Thank you.
And I would like to thank you both for your time. And you, all three of you, are a beautiful and wonderful family.
Thank you.
Always keep your values and always keep the love that your mom has shown you. Thank you, girls. How do y'all feel about the trio of you? How do you feel about all of you together?
Well, I like that we're all family and that we can all like bond, and it's not just like, oh, I don't talk to them. Like, we're kind of like friends.
How do you feel about your family?
I like that we're family.
And would you two agree that your mother is an inspirational woman?
Yes.
Now, your mom is here. What would you like to say to your mom?
Love you and thank you for everything.
Love
Thank
you too.
Thank you for everything.
And now, what would you like to say to your daughters? They're here right in front of you.
I love you both. And we've been through a lot, but we're still standing.
I would like to thank you all for inviting me into your home and giving me the privilege to do this documentary about your life, your strength, your achievements, and how you all stuck together and are helping others. You're a very beautiful family.
Thank you.
A role model to all those who are going to be watching. So thank you so much. Y'all want to say bye to everybody?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You have heard this heartwarming story about a strong and loving woman. How she lives her life to positively affect others despite all obstacles. But what is your story? Don't allow life to live you, live it. And don't allow your environment to dictate who you are and who you will become. Go out there and be the author of your own story. Overcome, stay strong, and encourage. Thank you for watching Strength and Achievement, your song of hope.